Hey everyone, welcome to r/Tales from Tech Support, where we get to have a little chuckle at the technologically disadvantaged. Like me. I'm Uncle Reddit, and I got a story for you. Just a little PSA, guys. Well, one of my last videos, the Tales from the Job Site videos, the last story was evidently kind of a polarizing one about a homeowner who got a little edgy with some city workers who were also being sloppy and not really being mindful of the neighbors and things like that. And I took my own side. I didn't take the city's side, and I didn't take the homeowner's side. And people seemed to be a little upset about that. And hey, we can all have different opinions. That's what's great about this country and this platform. But yeah, I definitely wasn't butthurt, to quote one of the people that commented. Really, I take almost none of this personally. Although some of the job site ones do trigger a little PTSD from back in the day. Other than that, though, you know, even if you're right, if you approach somebody like an ass, you're going to get treated like an ass. And that's all I'm saying. Sometimes you got to have a friendly conversation before you start launching off on people. That's all. Every time power goes out, user gets disconnected from VPN unexpectedly. User called and says, I keep getting disconnected from VPN when I lose power. My power at my apartment keeps going out. My power is on now and I'm connected. Me, confused, okay, so what's the issue? User, it's weird, so every time my power to my apartment goes out, I get disconnected from the VPN, but it's working fine now. Me, still not fully understanding the issue. Because the power keeps going out, the router keeps going down. User, I didn't think I needed Wi-Fi. I was told I would be able to connect to work from anywhere in the world using VPN. Me, finally understanding the issue. This man's lack of knowledge. Ah, well, as long as you're connected to Wi-Fi, you can connect from anywhere in the world, meaning if you're traveling, you can connect to work using a VPN from a hotel, airport, Starbucks, etc. But you still need a Wi-Fi connection. User, okay, and hangs up. I thought being connected to a network was just common sense at this point, especially for work, using applications and websites users familiar with by now. Yeah, it's funny, I kind of already knew this from before, but I'm learning again, relearning, that you really can't assume anybody knows anything. Users are removing hard drives while the computer is on. So a little backstory. We have computers with removable hard drives. You can literally push a button on the front of the tower and pull the hard drive out. This is because the users have to lock up those drives at the end of the day. Apparently, some users are convinced that they're supposed to leave the system on, and with it powered up and the OS still running, eject the drive and lock it up for the day. And it gets better. They will then leave the system powered up. Or if they actually shut the system down before ejecting said drive, power the computer up sans hard drive. This is so it can get updates over the night. You know, the ones that are patches and software pushes for the computer, which at this point doesn't have a hard drive, so it'll just sit there all night with no boot device found, supposedly getting updates. I'm not making this up. So, we're back to that assuming that people know anything about anything again. This to me sounds like a poor training issue or poor supervision. If there's people that are still doing this, there's somebody that didn't teach them right. Guarantee it. Large bag of water causes internet outage. At my previous job, I worked for a university as a network engineer. It's a large campus with lots of agriculture. Because of some of the distances between buildings and the nature of the farm, on the south side of campus, fiber was not run everywhere. This is a story of one such building that was provided with a point-to-point wireless link. The shot was just over a mile in distance. Everything worked as expected and really only had issues on rainy days. One bright sunny day we get a ticket. Internet is out at farm building. We go out there, everything looks fine. We leave. A few days later, same thing. Okay, odd. A couple weeks later we get the same report. We think maybe foliage from a nearby tree is causing issues. It was springtime and the link was installed during the winter. We trim the trees. Still getting reports of outages. We realign the APs. Doesn't help. What gives? One day in late summer, some coworkers are out there and noticed a very large bull laying on top of a hill. the same hill that the wireless link shoots over. Light bulb. They ask about the bull and are told that it's his favorite place to lay down. Facepalm. They raised the APs higher in the air and the problem went away. Haha, a dang cow is blocking the wireless signal. Too long didn't read. Wireless link between two buildings kept getting blocked by a bull laying on a hill. Yeah, a lot of those wireless links like that are line of sight, so yeah, anything in the way, that's crazy. I'm on vacation. Hold my emails. This is my first time posting here, but this call just baffled me and I have to share. I work tech support for a company that basically services salespeople, and that's it. So it was my last call of the day. I say my cheerful greeting to the man on the other line, and he tells me that he wants to not be bothered by emails on his phone while he's on vacation. Cool, I think. He wants me to turn off notifications so he doesn't get constantly told he has emails waiting. I confirm this with him and proceed to tell him how to go on Do Not Disturb for the email system we've been told to move everyone to. He says that the steps don't make sense and that the options I'm having him look for don't exist. It takes 5 minutes and a request for someone who knows better to find out he's using the system we moved away from. I tell him he should move to the new system and helped him turn off notifications. He asks for a test email. Cool, I get it. I send the email and he gets it. This was not what he wanted. What he actually wanted was for me to turn off the email account for him. Archangelsbrain.exe has stopped working. I said this was not possible for such a short period of time as a vacation. He weakly accepts the answer and hangs up. Yeah, I don't understand why anybody would want to do that. If you just put your notifications on hold for a week or whatever, however long you're going to be gone, there's your issue. Solved. One of my longest service calls ever. This story goes way back to '91. I was a field service tech for a computer company in the western U.S. My territory was pretty large, basically half of a U.S. state. I had one large customer in the city I lived in, a smaller customer about 2 hours drive away, and a third customer 4 hours away in a different city. Needless to say, I did a lot of driving. The systems I supported were mini computers from the 80s. Computers, tape backup systems, external disk drives, the old-fashioned big as a washing machine type, plus telecom devices, printers, dumb terminals. We provided service for everything and got paid pretty well. This is all pre-internet and PCs were fairly new. Anyway, I got a call from my 2 hour away customer first thing one morning. They had a terrible storm the night before. Lightning strikes all around, plus a power outage. The system is down. I do some troubleshooting over the phone. Computer has various LED indicators on the front panel. AC power is on, all else is dark. External disks are in standby mode. Fans running, but media is not spinning. I figure one of the power supplies is fried. I have no spares, but jump in my car and head up. I arrive on site, pull out my digital meter, and start checking voltages. All the power supplies are in a common chassis, so it's easy. And in less than 5 minutes I find one of the 5-volt power supplies is dead. This has no internal fuse, and I can see it's getting input voltage. I get on the phone to my parts support. I need one of these power supplies boxed and put on a plane if at all possible. Overnight is second best, but please try and get it to me. And, this is a really important part, there are 2 versions of this power supply for different models of this system. They are not interchangeable. I must have the newer, larger, and heavier version. No problem, they'll call me back. I poke around to see if I can find any other damage. Explain to the customer that there may be additional things broken, but I can't troubleshoot until I have the power supply replaced. Parts guy calls me back. They don't have one in the office, they sent it to Houston. Guy in Houston will box it and put it on a plane to me. I call the guy in Houston, who I've worked with for ages. He's totally reliable and tells me he's on his way to the airport. He'll call me when it's shipped. I have a 2.5 hour drive from the site to the airport, so if I leave soon, I'll get there around when the package arrives. I explain to the customer I'll be back when I have the power supply. They'll arrange for after hours for me just in case. So far, things going as good as I could hope. I drive to the airport, find the air freight office. They have my package. All is good. Airline guy hands me the box and my heart skips. The box is too light. This is the older version of the power supply. I rip the box open. Yup, wrong part. I find a payphone. No cell phones in those days. Call my parts guy and rip him a new one. Houston customers have none of the older systems. This should have never been sent. They check with the Houston guy. That's the only one he has. They promised to find the correct part for me. I call the customer and tell him sorry, wrong part. We're working on it. I'll call them back. Might be tomorrow before I have it. Customer's pretty cool. Glad I'm keeping them in the loop. I head home and wait for an update. Parts guy pages me. Remember pagers? He's getting the part from our East Coast office. They'll overnight it to the customer. I agree since if they overnight it to me, I won't get it until after 10 a.m. Then I have to drive up. I'll drive up and be waiting for it. Cool. I call the customer. There's a wrinkle. The customer is a government installation. All package deliveries go to the central warehouse. Sometimes it takes hours to locate stuff. Ugh. I call my parts guy back. Can they overnight it to me instead? He calls and checks. No, it's already gone. Call the customer back and explain. Okay, we'll work with what we have. Next morning I drive to the site, meet with my contact, and we head over to the main warehouse. Guys there ask what the PO number is. That's how they track everything. I explain that there's no PO number, it's a spare part, small box, blah blah blah. The guys kind of hem and haw. After some moaning and groaning, agree to look for the box. After some time they find the box. It's been opened. Looking for paperwork, I guess. But it's the correct power supply. Hooray! Back to the machine room. Install the power supply. All LEDs light up. All voltages check correctly. Now just boot up and away we go. Except the boot fails. Front disk drive, which contains the OS, faults. Clear the fault, try again. Same thing. Okay, this happens sometimes. Disk file system got corrupted due to power or lightning. There's an alternate procedure to boot into maintenance mode from a tape. From here I can reformat the disk, restore the OS, and then boot normally. And I'll be able to check the other two disks for damage and data loss. Find the correct tape, get the system booted up. I'm feeling okay about the CPU at this point. And start formatting the disk drive. Normally takes about an hour, fingers crossed. After getting through part of the formatting, the program fails. Too many errors on the media. The format program cannot work around them. This is bad. I'm thinking if one disk is bad, what about the other two? I call my tech support guy. He shares my concerns. He'll get our parts guy working on finding new media for me while I work. He suggests changing the address on the disk drive so either the second or third is the first, and try to format it. This will erase all data on this disk, so I check with the customer. They're okay with this. It means they'll have to do a full restore from tape, but if it'll speed things up, they're in. I change the addressing, which is really easy, and try to format a different disk. No luck, fails in a similar manner. Try the third disk, same thing. Call my tech support guy back. He wants me to swap the disk media from the other two disks into the first drive and see if I can at least get one disk up and running with the OS on it. This is a total long shot and we would never do this except getting me replacement media is going to take a day at least. Customer doesn't care. Their data's gone anyway, so they're looking at a full multi-hour restore. I swap media from the second drive to the first and try to format. Fails like before. Media cannot be formatted. Try the third media, same result. I call my tech support guy back. I need 3 sets of media and I need them as fast as I can get them. I'm also thinking that each set of media, called an HDA, head disk assembly, comes on a small pallet in a special foam box. I can maybe fit one on my car, but not 3. Each HDA weighs about 70 pounds. My support guy calls back. They're having 3 HDAs air freighted to me. They'll arrive at the airport that night. I call my wife and ask her to get on the phone and rent me a van at the airport. It can be a minivan. I'll just take the seats out. Then I talk to the customer and update them. I'll be working all night most likely. Is that okay? Sure, they give me a key and notify security that I'll be there. I call my wife. She found me a minivan. Rental car guys are cool. They'll pull the seats out and store them for me. Back into my car and head to the airport. I get to the airport and park. I get the parking shuttle to the airport, catch the rental car shuttle, and they have the van ready. So far, so good. I head to air freight, pick up the pallets. Airline guys help me load them up. I'll be on my own at the customer site. I drive back to the site, now well after dark. Back the van right up to the front door. The site's closed, so no big deal, I'm not in anyone's way. I unbox one HDA and carry it into the machine room, install it, power it up, and start formatting. And it works. I get the drive formatted, install the OS, reboot as normal. We now have a working system. I run standard disk check while I'm lugging in the second HDA. I install the second HDA, power up the second disk drive, fire up the disk formatting program. Different program for disks that are not the first one, and the program is not found. I spent some time looking in various directories, then I remember our phone support folks had been instructed to remove the program from all customer systems because a few were purchasing third-party disk drives and adding them to their systems. So the format program was deleted and all field techs were given a tape with the program on it. If we ever needed it, we were supposed to restore it from our tape, run it, then delete it from the disk when we're done. I know I have the tape, but it's in my car at the airport. I searched to see if there's another tape on site. Can't find it. Cursing myself, I lug the last HDA into the machine room, jump in the rental van, and head back to the airport. I get to the airport in record time since it's now the middle of the night and there's little traffic. I think it took 90 minutes. Into the parking area, find my car, grab the tape, back in the van. The attendant lets me leave without paying since I was there less than 5 minutes, and back to the customer. It's now early in the morning. I get the second drive formatted, run the check program, get the third drive formatted and checked. While this is going on, I get the bad HDAs boxed up in the van and labeled for shipping. Everything now is in the customer's hands. They'll have to restore all their data and have the software support folks assist them getting things back to normal. I'll leave a note for the customer since no one's in yet. I'm pretty wiped out by now, but I get in the minivan and head back to the airport to ship the parts back. I'm cruising along the highway. The eastern sky is beginning to get light. Sun will be coming up soon. My pager goes off. I can't effing believe it. I'm in the middle of nowhere, but there's one spot with a gas station and convenience store coming up. There's a payphone there. Call into dispatch, folks. My 4-hour away customer is completely down. I call him up. System is down. No LEDs on the front panel. Great, another power supply or fuse. This customer has an older version, so the power supply was shipped by mistake will actually work in their system. Plus it has an internal fuse that is difficult to reach, but I should be able to get them up and running. I explain I've had no sleep and can't drive, but there's a puddle jumper airline I can catch. I'll call them back. I call my wife, she's awake, and ask if she can call the airline and get me a seat. Customer will pick me up at the airport and get me a motel room. I start driving again, get to the airport. My wife pages me. I've missed the morning flight. There's one in the evening? Fine. I ship the bad parts, turn in the rental van, pick up my car, go home and call the site I've been working on for the past couple days. They're okay, restore is in progress and things are looking good. I get about 3 hours sleep. That afternoon I head back to the airport, catch the puddle jumper, fly to the other city. It's now dark. Customer picks me up and we drive to the site. Staff is all gone except for the operations folks. I yank out my meter. No 5 volts. I feel like I'm having flashbacks. Takes about 20 minutes to unbutton things so I can get to the power supply and dismount it so I can get to the fuse. It's a bad design. The fuse holder's up against the side of the chassis so you can't get to the fuse. I pull the fuse and it's blown. Okay, did it blow for a reason or just for yucks? I replace the fuse and set everything back so I can power things up. System powers up and boots fine. Great. Power off and refasten all the stuff I had to undo to get to the stupid fuse. Power up, and they're in business. Customer drops me off at a motel and I totally crash. I wake up the next day and call the customer. Everything's fine. System's up and they're catching up from the outage. I have a ticket for puddle jumper, call a cab, and I'm off to the airport. I clocked a huge amount of overtime that week, but a large amount was billed back to the customer since power and lightning damage was not covered by the service contract. My boss was happy because so much of the work was billable. Dude, I can't even imagine. Back in 91, I remember having a pager and having a calling card where I'd always find payphones to call back into corporate office and things. I can't even imagine what that would have cost to have things overnighted and air freighted back and forth all that time. That's just insane. Hey guys, thanks for hanging out with me today. If you've enjoyed this content, would you do me a favor? Would you consider giving this video a like, subscribe to the channel, and maybe click that little bell icon so you don't miss the fat guy with the beard telling you stories. See ya!